Introduction. Take a moment to yourself and settle in. As you hear this opening line, chances are you've sat somewhere relaxing, perhaps on a sofa or in bed, and you're ready to dive in. But you're not clutching your Kindle or flicking through pages to read the next Harry Potter or Me Before You. You're here because you want to change, and you're ready to start making changes. The reason you've picked up this book, and perhaps many others like it in the past, is because there's something about yourself or your life that you're not content with. I want you to use this moment to figure out what it is. Maybe you already know. You don't have enough money, you're in debt, or you're just not earning enough to live the life you want. Perhaps your relationship with those you love has fallen on hard times, and you're trying to figure out how to create more peaceful, more fulfilling, and more meaningful relationships. Your issues could be anything, from your health and well-being to your mindset, family, or career. Chances are, it's a tangle of multiple things. This book contains the answers. This book contains the guidance to help you resolve these issues. Throughout the following chapters, you'll learn the strategies and techniques, all actionable, to manifest the life you want to live. The reality you'll be waking up to every day. The reality you've been waking up to every single day of your life so far. All by hyper-focusing on one primary aspect of your life: your success. On this journey, we'll explore the ins and outs of the 17 techniques, which will be broken down throughout the audiobook into 3 core elements: wealth, success, abundance. If you can manifest and attract these 3 things into your life, you'll be able to unlock brand new opportunities to live the life you want. We cannot change the fact that the world relies on money. You need to pay bills, have a house, or a job. This is the collective manifested reality of the entire human race that dates back thousands of years. But that's not what we're focusing on today. Today, we're focusing on you and your reality. You are more than capable of living the life you want. You are allowed to have enough money to live in the house you want, to support your family the way you want, to have a car, to afford to travel, and to have the things you desire. You are allowed to have time to work on your business ideas, your passion projects, or to get to a point in your career where you feel accomplished. All these things are within your grasp, just a few steps from where you are. And it's these steps we're going to explore throughout this audiobook. However, these steps are founded on one core law that governs everything in our universe and reality, down to an atomic level: the law of attraction. The law of attraction is one of the most powerful laws in the universe. Simply stated, the law maintains that like attracts like. But when applied to your own life, it's a power that can change your life in a sustainable and meaningful way. The law states that what we focus on expands and comes back to us. Essentially, your life and reality are a reflection of what is going on in your mind, what your thoughts are, and therefore what kind of energy and perspective you're putting out into the world. On the surface, this is a very easy concept to grasp and apply in your life. If you spend time around toxic, negative people, then you will channel that same energy. There's a popular psychological saying that states, "You're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with the most, because you take on their traits and the same energy bounces off." Regardless of what you believe, if you're around people who don't share the same values as you might get along civilly, but you probably won't spend all your time together. For example, when I was growing up, I was friends with a boy called David. But as we grew older, into our late teens, we drifted apart. We were still friends and sometimes hung out, but he'd developed a drug habit. While taking drugs frequently is not a value of mine, it was a value of his, for a number of reasons. And he surrounded himself with people who shared the same ideas. Of course, taking drugs frequently is not a good idea, and it's going to lead down a dangerous and toxic path, which is what happened. He ended up in a rough patch where he was stealing money from his family, lying to those he loved and who loved him, and eventually he was admitted to hospital after he overdosed. It's a sad story, and thankfully over the years he has taken steps to head down a different path. But it's clear how he got himself in that position in the first place. If you're in a negative space, and you're putting negative energy out into the world, this is what you'll get back. Despite a desperate situation, he always had a choice at every stage of his journey of how he could move forward, something he now admits. But this is something I'm sure we can all relate to. Let's say you spent 8 hours a day watching a news program that focused on the problems of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Ukraine war, corrupt police officers, and engaged in plenty of discussions describing how horrible people are and how much of a bad condition the world is currently in. Over time, you're going to have a very miserable life, believing that everything is negative, the world is in an awful state, and the world we live in is a horrible place. Perhaps you felt it after consuming too much news or social media content. Yes, these are all important topics that we should be aware of. But deep diving into them is going to drastically affect your mentality. You may have experienced this at work when people are gossiping about other coworkers. You end up being in a surreal, anxious trap where you don't trust anyone around you out of fear of them talking about you. And so you gossip more, projecting your own insecurities. It's a toxic cycle that ultimately ends up affecting every other aspect of your life. You wake up hating the idea of going to work, and you're miserable during the working week. Because you're unhappy, you project this onto your partner, and you start having arguments. You seek out ways to feel better and start indulging in material objects and spending money. Thus, your financial situation gets tight. Meanwhile, all the goals and dreams you wanted to fulfill throughout your life have taken a back seat. And now you're resenting yourself because you're not living the life you want to live. And this only makes you hate your job and life circumstances more. And the cycle spins out of control. Before you know it, you're not performing well at work and your job is at risk. Your partner doesn't want to be with you anymore. Your coping mechanisms are costing you your money and your health. Of course, these are just examples, but they show the very simple yet life-changing power of the energy you put out into the universe. However, these examples show that your actions and decisions are happening mindlessly. You're not conscious. You're just reacting to how you feel without taking the time to actually think about what you're doing. David fueled his drug addiction because of his physical and mental cravings. He wasn't thinking about what would come next. We know that stealing from the people we love and care about is wrong, yet it's still something people do. You know it's wrong to shout and hurl abuse at your partner, but it still happens sometimes. And guess what? When you send that negative energy out, your partner won't like you much, and you'll get the negative energy back. Embracing the law of attraction is about taking control. When you start applying this law to certain aspects of your life, like your wealth and success, you can really start manifesting the kind of reality you want to enjoy. At the end of the day, if you can address these specific areas, they will have a huge knock-on effect on the rest of your life, including your happiness, well-being, relationships, and overall fulfillment with love. The law of attraction is not some new age nonsense. It is a real proven law, referenced by some of the top minds in human history, and by some of the most successful and wealthiest people in the world. The concepts that contribute to the law of attraction have been demonstrated by scientists and researchers all over the world, and throughout the decades. Of course, the law of attraction is not just about manifesting money. You can use it to manifest any desire you have, but financial abundance will be our primary focus in this audiobook. In order to manifest money using the law of attraction, you need to know how to apply its principles in a way that is specific to money. You need to figure out and understand how you think, defining what kind of energy you're putting out, therefore defining what energy you're getting back. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll take it step by step and break it down as we go. In this book, I will teach you 17 secret techniques that will help you quickly attract wealth, success, and abundance. But first, let me share how this journey has been for me. My own journey. A few years ago, I was in a rut. Financially, I've never been in a worse position. After years in a corporate job that literally made me unwell, I built up my confidence and eventually took the leap of faith and started my own business. I gave it everything, all my confidence and savings. I left my abusive relationship to truly focus on me and to follow my dreams of being independent. I told everyone and was so excited. Terrified but excited to start this new chapter. And it failed. Despite investing everything I had to try and make it work, it just wasn't meant to be. Maybe the market was wrong. There was an economic crash around the same time that I didn't pay nearly enough attention to. Or maybe I just took the wrong approach. I didn't take the right steps at the right time, or didn't know what I needed to do. Of course, while I was disappointed and felt like a complete failure, I had a life to rebuild. Life wasn't going to stop. So, after a brief grieving period where I had to move into a friend's apartment because I couldn't afford rent, I took stock of where I was. I had a lot of debt and no money to pay it off. I was working 2 jobs, but it wasn't enough to cover the costs, nor was it enough to get me back on my feet. I was stressed out and miserable. I'd sold everything I'd owned, including my car, moved out of my apartment, and crashed on friends' sofas. I was ashamed of my situation. I was borrowing money from friends to pay off other friends and family, and I was stuck in this loop of earning and spending everything on debt. Despite the bleakness of my situation, I was plagued by the need to escape this reality, and I was trying everything and anything I could to make a difference. My mental health and self-esteem were at an all-time low. I tried different saving strategies, switched jobs several times, tried money management techniques, bullet journaling, apps, and a friend organized a free consultation with her financial advisor friend. However, nothing seemed to click. Then, one day, I was introduced to the law of attraction. I met up with a friend who was reading The Secret, and it sparked something inside me. This wasn't something I was new to. My grandmother on my mother's side used the law of attraction every single day. And growing up, I would regularly see her meditating, journaling, or making vision boards. But I rarely paid any attention to it. The idea had now come back into my life via my friend and the online articles and podcasts I dove into, and I continued to feel the shift. I went deeper. I read more books, watched more videos, and listened to more podcasts. I learned about the principles of vibration, both spiritually and scientifically, and piece by piece, as my knowledge and understanding of the law grew and expanded, I began to meaningfully apply the teachings to my own life. While I certainly had a ton to sort out in my life, my main focus to begin with was my financial situation. There was no doubt this was the area of my life that was causing the most stress. And I knew that once I sorted it out, I could then focus on everything else. For example, I could join a gym for my physical health and see a therapist for my mental health. I could get an apartment to build back up my independence and a car to get access to the careers I wanted. And so, I began to focus on my desires for money and wealth. I visualized myself in a situation where I had plenty of money. I focused on the feeling of having enough money and repeated affirmations like, I am abundant, I am prosperous, and I am wealth, every single day. I told myself that money comes easily to me and effortlessly, and that I always have more than enough money, among other techniques that I experimented with and adjusted along the way. These techniques took some trial and error, but eventually, and in some cases even as quickly as a couple of days, I felt a shift in my being and perspective. My life began to truly change. Over the course of a year, I paid off all my debts, but I didn't stop there. I was also able to build up my savings and get a job that I was happy in and paid me my worth, which in turn allowed me to get an apartment, a car, and the things I had desired at the beginning. I'm not saying it was easy. It was a journey for sure. There were ups, downs, and hard times. There were times on the climb when I slipped, but the techniques helped me find my footing and keep going relatively easy. Fast forward several years. The law of attraction is something that I apply to my life daily, manifesting my reality in whatever ways I want. Over the years, I discovered my passion for writing and being creative, a career that I then manifested using these same techniques. The same applies to my relationships, professionally, personally, and romantically. My beliefs regarding material objects and the way I make conscious decisions have all been influenced by the law of attraction. These are the techniques and experiences I'm going to share with you, and they can work for you too. So let's get started first, taking a detailed look into what the law of attraction actually is and how it works. Chapter 1. Getting Started. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. A quote from Mahatma Gandhi. The law of attraction is known as different things to different people. To some, it is called the law of vibration. To others, it is called the law of focus. But they're all talking about the same thing. We'll stick with the law of attraction since this is the most popular term. To use the law of attraction in your own life, you need to start by understanding how it works. To teach is to show what is possible. To learn is to make it possible for yourself. So take on board what I'm saying, but I highly recommend exploring each concept so you maximize the changes of it making sense to you. But don't worry, I'll guide you along the way. Let's start with the 5 basic principles of the law of attraction, which include: Number 1, thoughts and emotions create vibrations that attract similar vibrations. Like attracts like. Number 2, what we focus on expands. Number 3, we attract what we are vibrating at the frequency of. Number 4, our thoughts and emotions create our reality. And number 5, you can use the law of attraction to manifest any type of desire you have. Taking these into account, the law of attraction isn't some kind of magic or cosmic concept, but it's grounded in science, founded on the principle of vibration, which has been proven by scientists and researchers all over the world, which is also why the two terms are commonly used interchangeably. However, more correctly, the law of attraction comes second, and the law of vibration is the first universal law.